Hi, it's Sylvester, and I wanted to talk about my psychosis. Now, I know I've spoken about it many, many times before, but if you don't know, if you're new here, I experienced pretty extreme psychosis from around 2019 up until early 2024. And it was terrifying. It was a lot. I was hearing voices, I was seeing things, I was experiencing delusions. I was paranoid. It was really, really bad, and it's hard to put into words. It's hard to explain how bad it was if you weren't part of my life at that point in time, or if you weren't like watching my videos at that time. It's hard to even explain how bad it was, but it was really, really, really bad. And I've said this before, but I don't think the psychosis started in 2019. I think it got really bad in 2019, but I think that I was psychotic before then. I think it's something that happened slowly over time, and over the course of many years just got worse and worse and worse. But yeah, I've experienced psychosis, and I said in the past at one point, or maybe a couple of times, I've said that in some ways I miss being psychotic, in some ways I miss experiencing hallucinations. It's really lonely when you go from having hallucinations to not having hallucinations. It's just my head is empty all the time, and it's just something that has taken a lot of getting used to. And also, there is something kind of addictive about being psychotic. Like, there's something about it that can be sometimes kind of fun and sometimes kind of pleasant. But psychosis is complicated, and the human experience is complicated, and my feelings towards the psychosis that I experienced is complicated. As much as it was fun sometimes, it was also incredibly horrific. It was a horrible, terrifying experience. It was not fun most of the time. It's something I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. Psychosis is a very terrible, terrible thing. And sometimes I miss aspects of it. Sometimes I look back on it fondly, but for the most part, it was genuinely traumatizing. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Being psychotic was a genuinely traumatizing experience that, again, I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. So I don't actually want to be psychotic. And it took me a long time to try to get help for my psychosis, not because I was having a great time and I really liked being psychotic. It was mostly because I was scared of hospitals and doctors. I was scared of being locked away, institutionalized, and part of me thought that doctors were evil and that modern medicine was evil. And I believed a lot of conspiracies at the time. It was part of my delusions, is that I thought doctors were out to get me. So that's the main reason why it took me so long to get help for my psychosis. Not because I enjoyed being psychotic. It was an active choice to not get help, but it doesn't feel like it was necessarily my fault, because the reason I didn't get help was because I was genuinely scared of trying to get help, and I really thought that there wasn't help available for me. And I'm glad that I was proven wrong. I'm glad that I am now on medication. I'm glad that antipsychotics took away the psychosis and that I can live a normal life. And I'm so grateful to not be psychotic. I am so, so grateful for antipsychotics, and I'm so grateful that they work for me. And I wouldn't want to be psychotic. I really, really don't ever want to be psychotic again, because it is a terrifying, terrifying experience. When your reality is warped, when your own brain is your worst enemy. It's a horrible experience. But that's not why you clicked on this video. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to title this video yet, but I'm assuming the title says something like, "My psychosis came back," or I don't know. I actually don't know what I'm going to title this video, but that is the point of this video. The reason I'm making this video is because I want to talk about the fact that my psychosis actually did come back earlier this year. And I have not told anyone this. This is terrifying to make this video, to admit this, because it was a terrifying experience, and I am very, very scared of being institutionalized, which is why I haven't told anyone about this yet, because one of my biggest fears is that the psychosis is going to return and antipsychotics are not going to help, and I'm going to end up institutionalized, and that's just one of my biggest fears. And I'm scared to even say that out loud because I'm kind of superstitious, and I feel like saying it out loud is going to cause it to happen somehow, but like, it is one of my biggest fears. And so, yeah, around March and April of this year, I started hearing voices again, and I started seeing things again, and I started experiencing delusions again, and it was, like I said, very terrifying. And the only person I told was my doctor, and even him, I didn't tell him the full story. I just told him that I was experiencing paranoid thoughts, and that I thought that I should have more antipsychotics, like that he should raise the dose of my antipsychotics, and thankfully he did, and thankfully that increase took away the psychosis. So, I'm very grateful for that. But there was a period of like 2 months there where I was hearing voices again, and I was experiencing a lot of mania. Now, I have not been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I thought I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder because my doctor told me that I had bipolar disorder, but then it turns out that there had been a miscommunication between him and my psychiatrist, and I had not been diagnosed with it. And then I saw my psychiatrist again earlier this year, and she came to the conclusion that I do not have bipolar disorder, but I do have traits of bipolar disorder, but I'm not diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But anyways, you can still be manic even if you don't have bipolar disorder, and I definitely experienced mania. I wasn't sleeping as much. I was experiencing euphoria. Like, the psychosis came back, but it wasn't what it was like in 2023 or 2019. Instead of it being terrifying, it was actually a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it, and that scares me more than the fact that I was hearing voices. The fact that I enjoyed hearing voices scares me more, because it really was a lot of fun. I felt, like when I had psychosis in 2019 to 2024, it was fun sometimes, but for the most part, I was being tormented by the voices in my head. For the most part, they were not being nice to me. But in March and April of earlier this year, when I started hearing voices again, the voices were nice to me, and it was enjoyable. I had a very good time hanging out with these people who didn't exist. And so it really scared me, because it made me see how addictive psychosis can be when the voices in your head aren't tormenting you, when they're actually being good to you and things are going well. It's so addictive. Psychosis can be so addictive, and it's like, part of me didn't want to get help. Part of me didn't want my doctor to give me more antipsychotics. Like, I wanted to continue hearing voices, and after I got that higher dose of antipsychotics and the psychosis went away again, I found myself missing it. Like, I genuinely wanted to be psychotic again, because it was fun and it made me feel good, and I was experiencing such mania and such euphoria that it just felt so good. And that's terrifying. And I want to make it clear that my psychosis was not caused by any illegal substances. I don't know necessarily what caused the psychosis to come back. I think it was caffeine. I think I was consuming way too much caffeine, and that triggered it. But I was not smoking weed. I was not doing any illegal drugs. I was not doing anything. If anything caused it to happen, it was caffeine. So I've been much more careful of how much caffeine I consume, because I do believe that is what triggered the psychosis. Or maybe nothing triggered the psychosis. Maybe it just came back maybe maybe there's no rhyme or reason for it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just something that happened. Maybe I got used to the dose of antipsychotics that I was on, and I like gained a tolerance or something like that. Like, I don't know if that's even possible, but I don't know necessarily what caused it, but it wasn't hard drugs. I feel like a lot of people out there think that I am addicted to hard drugs. I am not. And like I said, at the time, I wasn't even consuming marijuana. It was just it just happened. I just started experiencing psychosis again. Anyways, I promise you I am not currently hallucinating. I'm not currently hearing any voices or seeing anything that isn't really there. I'm not experiencing any delusions. Right now, my psychosis is under control, but there was a period earlier this year where my psychosis came back, and again, I didn't tell anyone because I was ashamed and afraid that I was going to get institutionalized. I do firmly believe that I have undiagnosed schizoaffective disorder or potentially schizophrenia, but I think I have schizoaffective disorder. And I saw my psychiatrist earlier this year. She does not agree. She does not think that I have schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenia. But I really do believe that that is the case. And, whether or not I have a diagnosis, I'm going to continue believing it. So there's that. But, yeah, anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.